This car right here is not the best handling car with steering wheel. We will find out which one it is right after the intro. Hello, and welcome to another Calm Consumer video. So you have a sim steering wheel and you are planning to buy a Formula Drift car in Forza Horizon 5. Or you are just wondering which one of the non-DLC cars handles the best with the steering wheel. Well, this is what our experiment is all about. First, I bought all the non-DLC Formula Drift cars, because DLC costs money and you don't get a technical advantage out of it. And the non-DLC cars are 7 cars in total, so that's a lot to choose from. I'm sure you'll find your favorite. So I compared 7 cars for you. That's a lot of work. That's the reason why I ask you to subscribe, like and share this video. So without further blah blah, let's get started with the first car. The first car is a Nissan 370Z Formula Drift spec that was originally driven by Forsberg. By the way, all the cars except the Ferrari are not tuned, they have their original factory setup. The next car is the legendary Corvette C6 Falcon spec. By the way, dear viewers, you are going to form your own opinion about the handling. Consider watching the workload of the steering wheel and the precision of the car. Next up is the brutal Dodge Viper that was driven by an Irish driver. There are many Irish drifters in the drifting sport. So this car has a V10 engine and you really feel the power. It's a proper hypercar. Next one is my favorite. Ferrari 599 Formula Drift Spec from FFF department. They call it the Fiorella. It even has more power than the Viper because of the V12 engine. As I said before, I fine-tuned it a little bit. The next car is probably the most famous one because in real life, it has won many competitions. It's the Ford Mustang RTR. It's also the best sounding car in my opinion. By the way, you'll find it under Ford, not Formula Drift. The next car is also well known, I guess. Nissan 240SX with Falcon livery. Manufactured in the mid-1990s, but now turned into a crazy drift beast. And now, the last car of this experiment, BMW 325 E30. This chassis is the oldest one, manufactured in the late 1980s. With the wide-body kit on it, it's probably the most unusual Formula Drift car, but it is competitive indeed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, have you come to a decision? Which one is your favorite? Which car has the best precision, physics, or handling? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I see you next time. Ciao.